Hi everyone, it's Kristi. Welcome to another meal prep video. Today for breakfast prep, I'm doing a French toast casserole, and for lunch, it's gonna be a slow cooker Mediterranean chicken. I'm not doing any dinner kits this week, and I don't even have any snacks to put together, so this should be fairly quick. As always, all the recipes will be linked down in the description box, as well as some of the items that I use, like my meal prep containers and things like that. If you're new to my channel, I'll be meal prepping for my husband and I just for 3 days. The other 2 days of the week, we do something different. Also, for anyone following Weight Watchers or calorie counting, I do share the Weight Watcher points and also calories on my channel as well. As always, I appreciate the thumbs up on my videos. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to be part of the family. So let's jump right into this week's meal prep video. Breakfast this week is going to be a very easy one. This is easy French toast casserole. I don't remember if I've made this one. I think there's 2 different ones that I've made before. I want to say one is from the skinnyishdish.com. This one is from the pounddropper.com. I do believe I made like a pumpkin spice one of hers before. So if you're following Weight Watchers, she does have a link that you can click on the website that will lead you to your Weight Watchers app so that you can figure out the points. For me, it's 5 points. I don't count my fruit. So 5 points, and then the calories on this, I saw somewhere, 174 calories for 1 serving. So this is gonna make enough for 6. So definitely low in calories, so you definitely could add some things to it. So let me show you what I'm using. The recipe calls for 14 slices of 1 point bread. She said that she uses Sara Lee 45 calorie, Nature's Own, no sugar added, or 647 Schmidt. I am using the kind I get from Aldi, which is the 40 calorie wheat bread. So I have 14 slices of that, and I just have it cut up into little pieces here. So I've got 14 slices of that. We also need 2 cups of fruit. So I have here just some fruit that I had left over in my freezer. Basically, if my fruit starts to get bad, I will just pop it into a bag and put it in the freezer. So this is just a mixture of just fruit that I had cut up that I just threw in a bag and put in my freezer. It's got a little bit of banana, blueberries. There's even some apple pieces in there. Strawberries. I think there's a little bit of pineapple. So it's not quite 2 cups. So I'm going to take this berry medley. I get this from Aldi. And I'm just going to pull out. Some of them are like the whole chunk of strawberry. I didn't realize that when I bought these. So I'm just going to pull out some of the berries and just toss those in there until I get it to 2 cups. Because I do have cut up strawberries in the bottom anyway. And we're going to do a little bit more. So I've got a heaping 2 cups there. And one thing she says, you can use fresh or frozen fruit. And she said if using frozen, then add it to the casserole while it's still frozen. She said that prevents the coloring. It prevents the batter from coloring. Next thing I need is 5 large eggs, or you can use 1 1/4 cups of liquid eggs. We also need 2 1/2 cups of fat-free half and half, or she says you can use 2 cups of skim milk or unsweetened almond milk plus 1/2 cup of regular half and half. We also need 1/4 cup of 0 point white granulated sugar. She uses Lakanto's organic monk fruit sweetener or classic. I'm just going to use this Splenda monk fruit sweetener. And then a tablespoon of lemon or orange zest. I have some mandarins, so I'm just going to use the zest off these. And then also 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1/4 cup of sugar-free syrup. She uses Mrs. Butterworth's sugar-free or Chalk Zero. And I'm going to use the Lakanto monk fruit maple syrup. And that was my oven. So I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Right on cue. So now I'm just going to take this is a 9 by 13 baking dish, which is 3 quarts. So she said you need 3 quarts. I'm going to give it a spray. I'm just going to use this avocado oil spray. And then we're going to spread half of the breadcrumbs down on the bottom. I'm going to take some of those berries out just because we're going to split up the fruit and I want to make sure I have it even in there. So we need about 1 cup of the fruit, so about half of it. Then we're going to go in with the rest of the bread. See, there's a piece that really clumped together. So it clumps together, just break it apart. And the rest of the fruit. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. Now, in the same bowl that I used the bread, I'm gonna crack 5 eggs. And I'm gonna give those a good whisk. And then I'm just gonna measure out the 2½ cups of the fat-free 1/2 and 1/2. And that is getting added to the eggs. Then I'm gonna add the 1/4 cup of the sugar. Two teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then we need about a tablespoon of the lemon zest. So I'm not gonna measure that out. I'm just gonna use 2 of the mandarin oranges. I'll just zest both of them. And if I said lemon zest, I meant orange zest. But you can use either one, lemon or orange. And then the 1/4 cup of sugar-free syrup. And finally, a pinch of salt. And just mix that together. All right, now all we're gonna do is just pour the batter evenly over the bread and fruit. So now she says at this point you can cover it with aluminum foil or plastic wrap, and you can put it in your fridge for 12 hours or overnight and then bake it the next day. So if you ever wanted to make this like for a Sunday brunch or something, you could prep it the night before and then have it that day. I'm gonna be making mine today, so I'm gonna cover it with aluminum foil. And then this is going in the oven 350 degrees for 20 minutes. And then after the 20 minutes, I'm gonna remove the aluminum foil and bake it for an additional 25 to 30 minutes. Ooh, that smells good. So I don't know if you can tell, but that's still pretty juicy. I think just because I used the frozen fruit, and I actually used a little bit more than 2 cups, that might be why. But it's not burning on the sides yet, so I think I'm gonna just keep that in the oven for a little bit more. I've let it sit here for a minute, but it just really seems really gooey on the inside. So I'm gonna pop that back in the oven for maybe like 10 more minutes. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I let it go for another 15 minutes. So I think if you're using the frozen fruit, you probably want to cook it a little bit longer. So I'm going to let that sit until it's cooled. All right, so that's been sitting for a bit and it's definitely much better. So now I'm just going to cut it into 6 portions. And then I'm going to just put it into my meal prep containers. I'm going to use my double compartment meal prep containers, but I only have 5, so I'm going to use one of the single ones as well. And then I think I'll add a container of the syrup just in case we want to add some syrup to it. Actually, something else that would be good on it would be a little bit of powdered sugar or some Ready Whip. If you have some Ready Whip, that would be good as well. All right, and then I'm just gonna put just a little bit of the syrup in each of these containers. I don't think we're gonna want very much on it because it already has, I just tried it and it's really good and it's, I think, sweet enough. And then I'm just gonna put a mandarin orange in each one. I was gonna put some strawberries on the side, but I'm just gonna toss a mandarin orange in there. So again, 5 points and right around 200 calories. So I may end up just having like a hard-boiled egg or something with it just to add a little bit more protein, a little bit more calories. But I'm really looking forward to these this week. For lunch today, I'm doing a slow cooker Mediterranean chicken. I actually did this in a what I eat in a day video not too long ago, and I didn't show how to make it though because it was the first time trying it, and we absolutely loved it. That day though, we had it over pasta. So for dinner, I usually have a little bit higher points than I do for breakfast or lunch. So I'm not gonna do it over pasta. I think if I were to use chicken breast, then I would go ahead and do it over pasta. But since I'm using chicken thighs, and those are not zero on Weight Watchers, I'm just going to do it over a bunch of roasted veggies. And for meal prep purposes, I'm just going to separate the two. I'm going to keep the veggies separate just because the juice from the Mediterranean chicken is probably going to make the vegetables soggy by the time we get to day 2 or 3. So I'm going to keep them separate in the containers. So here's everything we need. You can just leave the olive oil out and just spray your pan with some cooking spray. That's actually just when we're cooking the chicken thighs and to cook the olives. So we need 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, a sweet onion, 3 garlic cloves, 1 cup of roasted red peppers, which I just have the kind in the jar from Walmart. And then 1 cup of olives, half a cup of chicken broth, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and a bay leaf, and then salt and pepper. That's it. So these are just my notes from before. 4 points for the Mediterranean chicken using the chicken thighs and 1 point using chicken breast. If you're counting calories and you do it exactly according to this recipe, it's 264 calories just for the Mediterranean chicken. So that doesn't count any vegetables or anything else that you make with it. So for purposes of meal prep, for me on Weight Watchers, it's going to be a total of 4 points, including my veggies, because those are 0. And then for calories, it really just depends on how much you use for vegetables. So I'm going to just round up and say around 350 calories for the entire thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut up my garlic. All right, so before I cut up the onion, I'm gonna get the chicken started. So I just kind of went through and just cut off some of the fat off of it. So I have it's 2.08 pounds. So 2 pounds is what I need of that. So I'm just gonna get that started browning in the pan. I'm just gonna cook them a little bit on each side just so that they have a little bit of a browning. And then while that's cooking, I'm just gonna cut the onion into strips. And then I'm gonna remove the chicken and just set it aside on a plate. I'm going to give my pan another spray with some avocado oil spray, and then I'm going to cook the onion and the garlic just for a few minutes. Okay, so I got my chicken out. I just put it right in the slow cooker, and then I'll combine everything. I just put my onion in here for now, just to get it going a little bit, because I don't want to burn the garlic. The garlic only takes about 30 seconds to cook. And just try and get all those pieces from the chicken. Just want to get the onions just a little bit brown. You don't have to cook them all the way. So it says to cook the onion and garlic for 4 to 5 minutes, but I will tell you I never cook garlic that long. So I'm actually only going to cook these onions for just a couple minutes, and then I'll add the garlic for about 30 seconds to a minute. And just cook that until the garlic is real fragrant. All right, that's coming off the burner. All right, so I've got my chicken down in, I have an Instant Pot that functions as a slow cooker as well. So I'm gonna add the onion and garlic. Okay, now we're gonna add some seasonings. So in here I have 1 bay leaf. I have about a teaspoon of thyme. Actually have a little bit less than that because I'm not a huge fan of thyme. And then I've got a teaspoon of oregano. So I'm just gonna pour that over there. And then you just wanna make sure to get that bay leaf out afterwards. Next we need a half a cup of chicken broth. And you'll notice I only put pepper on the chicken, and I'm using low sodium chicken broth. I didn't put salt on there because we are going to be adding a cup of green olives, and those have enough sodium in them, so we don't need any additional salt. So 1 cup of olives, and we want 1 cup of roasted red peppers. I'm just using these roasted red peppers that I get from Walmart. I always have these in my fridge. I love these for all sorts of recipes. I like them with my eggs, anything. So I'm just gonna put those in there. And then it calls for salt and pepper, but I'm not gonna use salt. I'm just gonna add a little bit more pepper. And then I'm just gonna mix it up a little bit just so that those spices get mixed in. And this is what I made that night for dinner. And we didn't add anything else for sauce. We used the sauce that this makes and put it right over pasta. It was really good. So I think it's gonna be real good mixed with vegetables. All right, so now we're gonna slow cook this on low for 4 hours. So while the chicken's cooking, now I'm gonna get my vegetables roasting. So I have my oven preheated to 425, and I've got a couple trays here that I've sprayed with some cooking spray. So I have some broccoli that I had left in my fridge. I'm gonna add that. I was gonna add peppers, like a yellow pepper, but I think I'm not gonna do that just because there's so much red pepper in that already. So I don't think it needs any more pepper. One thing I did decide to add to it is some baby potatoes. So I have 5 potatoes left that I want to get used up, and I weighed it out. These are 9.8 ounces. So I just estimated it's 10 ounces. So this is going to add an additional about 35 calories to each serving. So what I'm making makes enough for 6. So this will be actually split amongst the 6. So it'll be an extra 1 point and about 35 calories that will be added. So my entire thing will be 5 points instead of 4. So I'm just going to cut up the potatoes into just little bite-sized pieces and add those onto the pan. And then I have a little bit of red onion left that was in my fridge. I'm going to just put that on there as well, and also cut up some zucchini. You know what? I don't think I'm going to use the red onion just because sometimes red onion, when it's roasted, it doesn't last very good in meal prep. So I'm going to skip that. We can always add it if we want to the day that we have it. But we already have a whole onion in with the chicken anyway. So I'm just going to do broccoli, potatoes, and zucchini. So you can pretty much do whatever vegetables you want. I was gonna add some butternut squash, but I think this is gonna be plenty. So if I was making this tonight, I would probably add maybe some little grape tomatoes on it as well. But since this is going in meal prep, this is all I'm gonna be doing. I am gonna drizzle it with some olive oil, and I will let you know when I drizzle with olive oil, I do not count it. So what I use this for is my weeklies. So I usually save some weeklies throughout the week, that way I count it as my olive oil. Now, when I have olive oil in like a salad though, then I do count it. And I'm just gonna add some salt and pepper and just give that a good mix. And I usually roast my vegetables for about 30, but since I'm going to be reheating them throughout the week, I'm just going to do 20 minutes. So these are going in a 425-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, so my husband is having just a very little bit of long grain and wild rice. We had some left over in the fridge, so there's literally just a little bit in there, maybe a quarter cup. I'm not going to have rice, but I'm going to leave one of them empty. I'm not sure. I may add some feta. I'm not sure. I may add something to it through the week. So now I have the vegetables. These have been cooking for 20 minutes. So now I'm just gonna try to do my best to evenly split everything up amongst the containers. So then the chicken will go in here, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to mix it all together in this, but if anything, we can just plop it on a plate after we heat it. So I was just going through my fridge, and I have some black beans in there that I was using for salad. So I'm just gonna put some black beans in with it. I think that'll actually be pretty good. So mine will be black beans, my husband's will be rice. All right, it's done. That's what it looks like. All right, so let's get this plated up. The chicken just breaks right apart. When I reheat food like this throughout the week, I usually just reheat it in the microwave for about 1 minute and then stir it up and then reheat it for another minute. So now I'm just kind of going through making sure I've got even amount of chicken and juice in each one. Seriously, if I can tell you how juicy and tender this is, that's why I really prefer using the chicken thighs rather than chicken breast in this. It does seem like a lot of olives, so if you don't like that many olives, you can definitely do less. But that is my husband's with the rice, and then mine with the black beans. And that's going to be the extent of my meal prep this week. No snacks and no dinner kits that I'm throwing together. Our grandchildren just came over to go swimming, so we're going to spend some time with them. So I did end up adding some green onion to the chicken, and that's all I did extra. So that's my meal prep this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.